All right. I believe, I believe I can fly. No, I don't. Nope. Nope. I don't believe
No
I can
flying
fly.
around here.
But you know what? It's a happy Saturday night, and all three of us are on the show tonight. So it shall be good times. And yeah, hello to everyone on YouTube because the the blue FB just sucks these days. So we're rocking and rolling on the good old YouTubers. We just should become celebrity YouTubers. We should really push for that.
Celebrity. Yeah, I'm a celebrity in my own brain.
You know. Just just one of those things. Oh, wait, what did I name the show tonight? It is called The Handsome Guy and No Hair Fellas. Yeah, there we
Oh,
go.
ow. I'm freshly clean too. I did this yesterday. I cleaned my head. Asked my.
Peach Fuzz, that's not fucking hair.
I
Oh,
don't think I've ever seen
I got
Pat
you.
grow his hair out before. I would love to see what Pat looks like if he grows his hair out and like styles it. We should get him to a barber who will give him a like a skin give him a fade to skin or whatever they
We
call it.
need to we need to talk to his mom and see if she has any pictures of him when he was a kid that actually had
From
hair.
band. Oh, his band picture with his nice sweet captain's hat on.
I so want to see this. Like I
he's
need
like
to see this.
he's like they're out there, but I will never ever let you see them.
Well, you know what? Tough tiddlywinks, because you know,
We'll make
we
it happen.
want to see them. I need to see this.
Reese.
And you know what? You know what? Here we go. Technical difficulties again. I shall say this. The technical difficulties are as I am on YouTube, it's not giving me the option to share again. Like, I don't know. I just feel that
I can share.
nothing wants to work right for me. It is what it is. I don't know what's going
Did you
on.
make me
But anyway,
co-host? Is that where I can? Is that why I can share?
yeah, I made you host,
Oh,
but I just made you co-host. I didn't make you the hostess of the mostess.
I am. Doesn't matter if you make me that, dude. I am the hostess with the hostess.
Like, I don't know why it's letting me clip it. I don't want to clip shit. I want to clip it, god damn it. What in blue blazes?
Okay, I just saw a Jokic commercial with the Minions, and they think he's Gru. So they're all outside the window of his therapist.
That is very interesting.
Kind of funny.
Not gonna lie, that does sound funny. You know, view your channel. No, I don't want to view my channel. I want to share this stream. Oh, copy video URL? No. There's supposed to be a share option. Oh, why doesn't anything want to work for me when it needs to? Like, seriously. Lord have mercy. Pat, it's your fault. It's all your faultsies, young sir. So as we're trying to configure and make shit work, how's everybody doing?
Awesome. Awesome. I'm excited. I don't think the Lakers are going to get swept. I think they'll win one game. I think they'll pull one out of their asses. Um,
No, they need to get
but
swept. They need to
I'm
go.
hoping for the sweep. Hoping for the sweep, but I think they're going to win one here.
Oh, I fully hope not. Let's see. What are we at right now?
But no, it's been a good week. Getting into the swing of things with basketball's going to start up here again soon because we got summer summer leagues starting for high school basketball,
Okay.
and that we're going to start open gym workouts again. So
That would be fun.
yep, all those things are going to start happening again. So we're going to see where it goes and what kind of talent we got and stuff like that. So essentially gearing up for the winter's time and what we're gonna be able to do. Uh, going to implement. I've been studying our new system that we're going to be offensive scheme that we're going to be running. So
Oh, okay.
trying to make sure I understand that and everything. So
What is the new system you guys got going on?
it's based off of Butler's offensive scheme.
Okay.
So, so yeah, I don't know if we'll simplify it at all. Like I'm not sure what all parts we're going to take from it, but um, it's based off of, and I'm sure it's just called the Butler because that's probably the first college that ran that particular offensive scheme. But because I'm sure they don't run it anymore unless was brand new to the college
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah,
Wide
what you're
open
saying.
three and missed that, and there's a foul. Holy Nikes! That dude missed a wide open three. Like nobody even around him. Nobody even chased him down. And
What do you have? The Lakers Nuggets
yeah, I got
game?
the Lakers game on. I've not watched much NBA. As I mentioned before, I'm not a big fan of the NBA anymore. It's turned into a lot with most teams. Denver's one of the few that is not as that's not like that, but and they remind me very much of the Spurs um, in the way that they play a lot of ball distribution and stuff like that. Uh, but so much of basketball in the NBA is so much ISO ball anymore. It's not really, you know, I don't know. It's just different and it's not fun to watch.
Well,
I've got Todd Barrett.
I feel like
whoa, whoa, whoa,
What the
whoa.
heck was that?
Patrick, what are you doing over there?
Was closed a window because the Yankees game just ended, and then it went out to YouTube and is trying to like autoplay and with the volume. So hold on a second. Let me.
Yeah. So you're breaking shit. All right. I'm not the only one. That's
I
great.
just muted the volume, so that won't.
Great, great. So, crap. What was I gonna say? Oh, yes. So, did I make a comment last night about the refs? I think I did.
Yes, you did.
So, listen, I, the Knicks game, I know the Phillies game, Sixers game. I know there was a lot of shit going on at the end of that one game, and I know LeBron was complaining about the other game where they blew. Sorry, the refs did not help you blow a 20-point lead. And that foul, to be honest with you, you know, some of that stuff is incidental contact, and I believe some of the fouls legitimately should be called, but some of them kind of like I think are ticky tack kind of bullshit fouls, and I think the refs call those fouls because the players complain, you know. So I think they've kind of done a good thing where they're kind of like reviewing some of them and like, no, that was incidental because of the type of play and what the offensive player and the defensive player were doing, lottie, lottie, lottie. So he wants to complain. I don't, I really could care less. I don't really think the foul in the Lakers game was a foul in my eyes, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But, you know, they've called it in the past, and I understand that. Consistency is what the refs don't really have right now. But so it's one of those things that I think is a double-edged sword where if you let them play, then you bitch when there's fouls that are happening and they're not getting called. And then when you call the fouls, then they bitch about them, just let them play. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to, you know,
Yeah.
you have to figure this out. Like they have to seriously be like, we're either going to let them play. And you know what? It's one of those things where the refs really should get together and be like, all right, how are we going to ref these last 2 minutes of the game? Are we, you know, kind of going to let them give them some leeway and kind of play? And if that's the case, they should let the coaches know, like, hey, it's getting tough. It's a close game. We're going to let them play. If something's legit blatant, we're going to call the foul, which they don't like to do anyway.
Yeah.
Or, you know, we're going to, you know, we're not going to let them get too out of hand and we're going to, you know, if it's a legit foul, we're going to be calling the foul, so on and so on. Because last night when I posted about the refs, here we go again. Rudy Gobert for Minnesota. He traveled so blatantly bad right in front of the ref. and the bench was going crazy, like complaining. The coach was like, why didn't you call the foul? And he's trying, like, you can kind of read the ref's lips, like try to make an excuse of why he didn't call the foul. It was so horrible. Like Rudy had it, and I think he kind of like didn't know what he wanted to do, and he picked the ball up, and it was like 1, 2, 3.5, and he lays the ball up. It was just like blatantly just it was horrific. And there was a couple other fouls in that game too that were pretty bad too. On top of that. But listen,
And
we're
there you
gonna
go.
keep complaining.
So there, and here's one. LeBron had the ball knocked away from him behind. It's a foul. Oh, I was fouled. I don't lose the
Of
ball.
course,
It was knocked away
didn't
from behind. Nobody
didn't touch
touched
his.
him,
No one touched his body. Touched all ball, and it's a foul. Yep.
but they didn't call it. They didn't call it. He complained. He stood down here and did nothing on defense and complained the whole entire time his team was playing defense.
See, yeah, man, and that's man, I'm sorry. There's the times have changed, and listen. He's a generational goat for people, but he is not the goat, and I just can't anymore uh with a lot of that stuff. It's very hard to
Can't believe there was no foul there. Yeah, no, and it's the thing, like, how
it's
did
hard for me to
if
grasp anymore.
yeah, like, if you're talking about goats in any sport, a goat, if you're going to consider somebody for the goat conversation, don't they have to do something other than just get records? Like, did they change the game in any way? Like, did they create rule changes? Did they create ways the players had to play, play that person? You know, the league hasn't changed since LeBron's been in the game. Rules have changed, but not because of his ability to play or anything like that. Teams don't have special rules for LeBron that I've ever heard of in order to keep him from scoring. There's just nothing like that he did.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where um you could be like, I seen a meme that was created, the best player of the decade. And while they're doing that, the decade has, Steph Curry with his 5 or 4 or 5, how many championship rings he has these days, you know, with his hand showing like he's they put him as the best player of the decade and not LeBron, which honestly, that's a legit argument you could make in regards to it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not off key, to be honest, at all.
Now, if you look at Steph Curry, I think Steph Curry changed the game. He made it cool to shoot the three pointer. He made the 3 pointer a relevant shot, not a relevant shot, but how do I want to put this? A a high portion of the offensive scheme, like where the 3 pointer prior to guys like Steph, you had shooters like Steph. I would say shooters like Steph in the game, but not somebody who was essentially the first option on their team as the scorer and was the 3 point shooter.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So you could
Um,
say Steph Curry changed the game because he made the 3 point relevant as far as offensive scheming on how, what would the shot be prior to Steph. If you look at the way that the teams played, yes, 3 pointers were involved, but they weren't necessarily a first option shot. Now, a lot of it is drive and kick or, step back threes. A lot of it
yeah.
is centered around the 3 point shot. And it's the 2 pointer, unless it's a dunk, is not the first option.
Yeah, I mean, he made the 3-point shot more relevant, a more a shot that was, more weaponized. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there was more of a go-to. I mean, look at that kid who played. Well, I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring up our friends team who lost in the first round of the tournament. But look at the dude from Oakland. That kid was all he did, he didn't take one 2-point shot the whole game. All he did was shoot threes. And he was like, he scored 30 plus points on all 3-pointers, you know? And
Hmm.
that's like, it's one of those things. You see big guys shooting threes. The 3-point is more of a more of a relevant, shot these days, by, the 1 through 5, no matter what position you play at this point. So everyone needs to learn how to shoot a three for at some point, have some type of 3-point shot. If it's even if you're not shooting in the high 30s or 40s, something that's, you can at least knock down at least 2 or 3 a game, you
Well,
know.
yeah, and it's changed the high school game and the college game. Like high school games are starting to, unless you don't have, there are high school teams that don't have good 3-point shooters, like in that. But just our team, in regards, we shot from three. We shot, I think it was for the season, 37% from three. Like that's really good.
Yeah, that is
So, and you know,
100%.
I think there was one game where we shot ridiculous. It was like we shot 40% from three. It was crazy. But, it's just one of those things. Like the landscape of the game has changed. And I would love to be able to give LeBron some credit for that, but there's nothing that LeBron did that changed the game. So
No, I mean super teams.
yeah, but
But that's really not.
that wasn't anything LeBron did. That was the way that the trades were allowed to be made.
Well, I mean, that's free agency in regards to that. That was just, a big free agency thing. Boston's was more, manifested by management, That wasn't something where the players were dictating where they were going to play or what team they wanted to play for. So that was a little bit different. Like LeBron's the first one to kind of like put it out there where the players are kind of coming together from other teams and in their free agency and trying to figure out where they want to play together and forces management to do things of that nature, which not really is a great thing, not horrible, but not great at the same time.
Yeah. So speaking about basketball, and I feel like we should shift gears to women's basketball because they just had their draft. What, last week? I think it was. Last week was
Oh,
the
yes,
women's
it
draft,
was.
and
And my team got 2 very interesting characters. The one I like, the other one's the one I'm not.
what team? What players did they get?
They got Angel Reese.
Okay.
Chicago Sky got Angel Reese and um the South Carolina girl.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, and I can't think of her name.
I'm having a
And
brain
her and
fart.
Angel Reese battled it out when they played. That was a hell of a matchup.
Yeah.
She
And then
got the
now
better
they're
of
on the same
Reese in
team
that game.
together, and people were like, "Ooh!" I had a feeling the Chicago, the Sky were going to go for Angel Reese, but they moved up a spot because they wanted the girl from South Carolina. God, I can't remember her name right now. And they're going to be a formidable duo,
Hmm. Yeah,
playing
two.
center and power forward.
Yeah, they're
But
two very tall female, and they both can finish around the rim. I feel like the other one is a little bit better than Angel finishing around the rim.
she's a better all-around scorer too than Angel is.
Yeah, Angel doesn't really have a mid-range shot.
I think the biggest thing she ain't, and here's my thing with Angel Reese. For as much attention as the women have gotten, you know,
Hmm.
Angel Reese has gotten some bad attention um towards her way, right? Some of the games where some of these fouls in some of the stuff that she's doing, some of these plays, and people have called her, a semi-dirty player or a cheap foul artist, however you want to put it. And I've seen those plays.
Hmm.
You are
Yeah, the hair
not going
pulls
to
and stuff
be
like that.
able to do shit like that in the WNBA because those women will not put up with that shit. College girls is a little different. So she's going to have to, you know, I know she's been talking to Shaquille O'Neal a lot. He's been kind of mentoring her and stuff like that. So I hope he gets in her ear and is positive influence because I think Angel is a good player. but she's one that has more to work on than some of the other girls,
Yeah.
in regards to that.
So I
Now,
think,
so to be honest with you, I've been watching the WNBA from day one. I think it's great. Listen, the women out viewered the men's tournament from like round one till the final four. They had way more viewership than the men's did. And kudos
yeah,
to them. So in the WNBA, some of these teams, some of the teams are switching arenas for when Caitlin Clark comes in for games. So they've been going to like a couple of the teams are switching some of their games to the NBA arenas,
well,
so
yeah,
they can fit more fans because
and
tickets are
that's
selling out like crazy.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like what the WNBA people have been saying for a long time is if it, when it comes to the relevancy of that league being able to be profitable on its own, which in turn leads to better wages for the athletes. Um, they need people to get in the arena and they need people to watch them on TV. If they don't get those, you can't, from a relevancy thing, you can't say that. While I agree that hey, you're playing the same sport, yes, you deserve the same money, but how are you going to get that same money when you're not bringing in the same revenue? You're not
Yeah.
selling out arenas. You're not doing the things that the men's league is doing. Like that. That's why they get paid that money. It's not because they're so much better players. It's because the league generates so much more money. Um,
And that league's been around a lot longer, and it's
yes,
it's it's a little bit different. Even the WNBA is going on like 25 plus years and all that jazz. It's just one of those things where
right.
they
They're 50 years
they need
behind.
to get more eyes. They need to get
Right.
more eyes on it. And the TV deals they have are fine and whatnot. And they've done some stuff where they've shown live games on Facebook and they're doing that on Amazon now and things like that. So they're getting there. And I think they have some new TV partnerships for this upcoming WNBA season as well.
Right.
But it's just kind of, getting them out there because I think too this year, what was it? It's State Farm. Yeah, State Farm. When you see State Farm commercials now, you see Caitlin Clark and you see some other, college and some WNBA players.
Yeah,
And
and people
now
that
they're
they know
showing,
too.
and now they're just not showing the NBA logo, they're showing the NBA and the WNBA logo. So that's, that they're taking the steps.
Yeah, and this
So
is really what the women's league
Cardosa was
need.
it. Camilla
Yeah,
Cardosa is a South Carolina
yeah,
girl.
and this is what the WNBA needed. They needed college players. They have not had that I can think of, and you'll know better than I do, Joe. But I cannot think of a class of college female college basketball players that have really stood out in this way to put eyes on the sport of women's basketball. It's been a very long time. Like I you almost have to go back to like Lisa Leslie and those when the league was first being done and how good Lisa Leslie was and
Oh, in the late
like
90s, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
96,
and those
97.
and those ladies that were coming out of the college ranks. It's been a long time since you've heard people talk about women in the college world. I mean, I feel like Kim Mulkey got more talk, when she took over at LSU because of her crazy ass outfits than the players were. And then the players started getting talked about because now I started getting on LSU and they were doing really good and they won the national championship and all that. You know,
Yeah, and the thing with the women in college, there's been like one or two, like you have like the top players in college. Most of them have come from UConn, a couple from, Tennessee and some other schools and whatnot. But, the names have been there, but it's been like one or two. But I just think like the transition for the women the last 3 years and what Caitlin Clark's been able to do and kind of the swag that all the females are having now and the way the style they've been playing, has kind of elevated the sport in general,
mm,
Um, and some of the new coaches that are like coming in and former WNBA players like becoming coaches and some of the aspects of that changing too was helped the WNBA, and
absolutely.
they're looking to expand. They're looking to add 2 to 4 more teams in the next, couple years actually. So expansion's going to be, detrimental to them, to get that going because there's I think like 6 cities that want to won an expansion team. So, I mean, I think there's actually going to be one next year, not this coming season, but the following season. There's going to be a new franchise, and then they're going to go from there. But, they need to grow. It's going to be helpful for them. And, you know, no matter what, Caitlin Clark has taken, the college game to another level with her scored ability and everything like that. So it's really cool to see. And I'm just glad it's like kind of finally starting to happen for women's basketball. I've been watching
Yeah.
the college game for a long time. And like I said, I was a huge Cheryl Swoops is my favorite and female player of all time. And when the WNBA got created, I knew I found out there was no Chicago team. So I was like, all right, wherever Cheryl Swoops plays, that's the team I'm rooting for. And she was with the Houston Comics and it was crazy how they won 4 titles in a row. And then like 4, 5, 6 years after that, they had to fold the franchise and they were selling out that arena they were in. So it really
Mhm.
didn't make sense. And it just, there's a couple of times where, there was the previous commissioners and people running the WNBA didn't really make good judgment calls or didn't make good financial um, plays for the WNBA. And I think it kind of hurt them.
And just
So,
an update on the Lakers game. The Lakers are starting to lose momentum. They are only up by 8 at this time. They were up by
oh,
almost
this is
20.
perfect.
And it all started, in my personal opinion, with a LeBron turnover, um, with
That's
a
even more
terrible
better.
pass that he made.
That's
And it got
even that's even greater.
it led to a breakaway dunk.
I love it.
And right now, Porter Jr. is turning it on. He's come to life. So, yes, it's getting interesting here in the last couple minutes of the third quarter.
Let's go Nuggets.
But
Let's
Anthony
go.
Davis is having a hell of a game. So, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen there. I feel like it's not good when Anthony Davis has a good game.
You know, it's one of those things where it's good that he's playing well, but you know, it's that's how I kind of feel too. He has a good game and everyone else is kind of just watching him and not doing. I'm like, look at LeBron's got 16 points, only 3 rebounds and 4 assists. Oh, wow. And he has 5 turnovers. He leads the team with turnovers. Oof. Yeah. Look at that goat go. Chugga lugga choo choo. All right. Yeah. But yeah, I hope Denver comes back and wins this game. That'd be great. It would make my
Well,
night.
Anthony Davis is killing them on the boards right now. They're not boxing out worth a shit.
Yeah, they need
So,
to they need to do a better job on that.
well, I just realized I forgot to plug in my mic. So maybe I should do that. You could probably
I
hear
mean,
me
we can
better.
hear you, so it's okay.
I'm sure this sounds a lot better though.
No, we
Ay, ay,
are.
ay.
Wait, hold on a second. We are. I don't know how many minutes in, but we have quieted the El Patrick over here.
Yeah, nothing to add, Pat? No? Oh, okay. Sit there. I think I saw your door move behind you.
The aliens are coming.
I love when he does this. We should really mute him. That way, when he does talk, he can't hear him anyway. So,
Well, you'd only be depriving the audience.
oh, is that it?
So,
Only depriving the audience.
up to you.
So, right before we got on, I told you to hold a comment that you wanted to say because you were going to talk about something wrestling oriented. So, if you'd like to share that rant that you were going to go on, I would love to hear your rant because I'm sure it is going to be gold.
I mean, I've got a few rants.
He ran away.
All right. Well, I mean,
So, you got a broken freaking neck? Because, Your
I
username.
wrestle with a broken freaking neck and want to go medal.
So let me first say this. Let me actually start here. Let me start because I think some people we all know there's this very tribal mentality about WWE versus AEW and all this other shit.
Yes, it's gotten very bad the last 2 years. Correct.
It's yeah, it's kind of ridiculously stupid. And funniest thing is that while again there's a couple of occasions here where you see wrestlers saying stuff, and I know Grayson Waller was the latest to make some kind of backhanded allusion to AEW. Um, it's like the wrestlers themselves don't really care because I think they kind of realize that they're really all in the same boat. And, the more that both companies are successful, the better it is for them as wrestlers, which definitely is. There's more jobs, that means there's more money.
Correct.
So, that's those are good things. They definitely are.
Mm-hmm.
But so let me actually start with criticizing WWE. So they did the first night of their draft last night, which,
I missed that. So
I'm sure wasn't at all time to be at the same time the NFL draft is going on. I'm sure that was not coincidental in any ways.
no.
But it was
We'll get people to flip back and forth between the NFL draft and our draft. It'll be amazing.
yeah, and
I know,
their rationale, of course, is probably something like, well, it's only the second and third rounds of the draft that we're asking people to flip during, not the first round. But so during the draft last night, it was just like very little changed with what they did last night. Most everybody who got drafted is just staying on the same show that they're already on.
Yeah, I kind of saw some posts in regards to that.
Yeah. Let me.
I heard one of the things too was that Roman took his name out of being drafted as well.
Well, that's what they were selling. I don't really know. I don't really know what that meant.
That was
To
a
be
bit odd to
honest.
me, but
Yeah. Like when I say I don't really know what that meant, it's like, is that just mean like he's going to be out for a longer period of time? Because the Bloodline were still drafted as a group, and the group being Solo, Tama, and Heyman. So
yes.
it's
Yes,
like,
I saw about this Tama guy who
Tama
is,
Tonga is awesome. He's from New Japan,
yeah,
from
he's,
wrestling the tag team God. They're awesome. I love those guys.
yeah, I had to look up and see if he was really part of the Anoa'i bloodline, but he is not at
no,
all. Like
no,
not even related in the slightest.
no,
So
he's the actual nephew and adopted son of Haku. So he's Tongan,
Correct.
because that's where Haku is from.
yeah,
So
Correct.
yeah, it's totally different island, yeah, and everything.
yeah.
But okay, whatever. So
It
anyway,
works.
yeah. So here were the results of the draft last night. SmackDown got Bianca Belair, who was already on SmackDown. Carmelo Hayes, who they called up from NXT, and they gave him a match against Cody last night. Randy Orton, who was on SmackDown. Nia Jax, who's moving over from Raw, and a move that I find to be a little interesting because Raw's women's roster, I think, right now is lacking a bit.
Yes.
LA Knight, who was on SmackDown, The Bloodline, who was on SmackDown, AJ Styles, who was on SmackDown, and Andrade, who I guess had been on Raw, but he'd made some
Yeah.
appearances on SmackDown. So Raw drafted Jey Uso, staying there, Seth Rollins staying there, Braun Breaker technically moving over from SmackDown because he had made a few appearances on SmackDown. Liv Morgan staying on Raw, Ricochet staying on Raw, Sheamus technically staying on Raw because he was on Raw on Monday night, the week before, even though he had been on SmackDown the last time before he went on an injury. Alpha Academy staying on Raw, and Kiana James, who they were calling up from NXT. And then there was a few people who were in like the eligibility pool for last night who didn't get drafted on air, but they were like drafted after the show. So SmackDown is getting Cedric Alexander and Ashante the Adonis, who I think had both been wrestling in NXT, though Cedric Alexander got squashed last night. I just don't remember by who it was now. I think it was by Braun Breaker. Baron Corbin, who they're bringing back from NXT, and the OC trio of Anderson Gallows and Michin, who again had been on SmackDown.
Hmm.
Raw is getting Ivar, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, who had all been on Raw, and the team of Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, who Joe, you could probably answer this better. We're on NXT, right? So a few NXT call ups, a couple people switch shows, but it was really a whole lot of nothing. So it really made for a pretty boring show, which I was trying to flip to as much as I could, but I was also watching the Rangers game last night, which was of paramount importance. So, um,
The only significance really was the NXT, some of the NXT being called up and being put on shows. Really, that's kind of the gist of it.
yeah, so I guess Kiana James, again, I've never seen her before. She's got a gimmick of being a businesswoman, which I no, but I mean, like I said, Raw's women's roster is kind of weak right now, so well, maybe there's an opportunity there for her. We'll see.
And I saw was Nia Jax involved in the Battle Royal recently in the women's Battle
Yeah,
Royal?
the women's the battle royal they did on Monday night
Yeah.
to crown a new women's champion, which Becky won because they don't trust anybody but Becky to hold that title. But it's like
Um,
nobody for Becky to really challenge Becky. It seems like so.
so I thought was uh, I saw a snippet from that where um, Nia put Becky through the announce table, I believe it was, and I feel like Nia may have gotten a little fitter. She didn't seem as heavy as she's been. Like
Yes.
seems like maybe she's starting to try and get into a healthier phase of, with her body and stuff like that, which I can appreciate, you know, um, because I can't imagine it, as a man or a woman carrying around that much weight with and it being in that physical, in that kind of in the sport that they're in, the physicality that it takes and the toll on your body, like being in a little bit better physical shape has got to be better
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I
Oh,
believe
would
she
you like to
has
know
like
what it's carrying around this much weight when you're not doing that much physicality?
No, I would not like to, but
It
anyway.
sucks.
she there was a picture of her I believe it was before the show, before the Battle Royal show, where she was kind of like, walking in the outfit she had on, you could definitely tell that she's lost some weight, trimmed down a little bit. So kudos to her. Yeah, it is. It's tough. And Mark Henry will tell you, and Big Show will say, I've heard those guys multiple times, it's not easy, wrestling and doing moves when you're a big guy of that manner. And for her being, a big, powerful woman. So, you gotta change your ways and how your body is after time.
Yeah. And I don't understand. Like, I know they've done the draft and they did it. And I thought the first time that they did it, I thought it was pretty interesting. But now it's just like the draft is really pointless because they move people around on shows all year round, anyways. So the purpose of the draft is to what? So that it looks fresh for the beginning of the year, like.
Yeah, that's basically what the point is trying to be. But yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
But they're always making adjustments throughout the year just to see where people better fit and to put on a better show anyway. So it's just like, stop doing a draft now. You want to bring up people from NXT, you're already doing that, just continue to do what you're doing. You don't have to pretend with the draft.
no, and
Good.
obviously they can't shuffle the whole rosters because then you're just trading one roster for the other. There's no real change.
Right.
But I guess I just expected more than like 5 or 6 people to actually change shows.
Right. That was very minimal.
Yeah. So it seemed like a boring episode. I mean, and then like Nia Jax came out and interrupted what was being billed as a number one contenders match between Naomi and Tiffany, and then he just announced that the pay-per-view match is going to be a triple threat of Naomi and Tiffany challenging Bailey. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I mean, what are the chances Nia doesn't interfere in that match, being that it's a triple threat match and there's no DQ? So
Yep.
yeah,
Wasn't really thrilled about the triple threat match, but whatever.
no, I mean WWE they're squandering some of the momentum from WrestleMania already.
Squandering.
Squandering.
Yes, indeed.
Scandalous.
But I will say, I like the route the bloodline is going with Tama Tonga and all that jazz and Solo kind of being, you know, more prevalent in the bloodline because I feel like it's going to be, Roman and the Usos versus The Rock, Solo, and Tama Tonga, unless they bring up, unless Jacob Fatu comes up, which I think he'll be up in the next month or two, to the main roster and be thrown into that storyline. We'll just see what side of the fence he falls on. Feel like it's NWO all over again. NWO White versus NWO Red. We're gonna have Bloodline Rock versus Bloodline Roman. Where's Paul Heyman fit? Whose side is he going to be on?
Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of speculation about that. I mean, because
Can we pause for
obviously,
one
like,
second? I just wanted to go back. I forgot to mention this during our basketball segment. Did you see that Russell Westbrook got ejected from the game on a double? He had two technicals in the one game and got ejected. And he finished the game with 0 points and two technicals, or no, 1 point and two technicals or something like that. He had more technicals than he had points.
Yes.
I was like, that's fucking fantastic. All right, sorry, go back to wrestling now. I just had to point that out because I absolutely dislike, and have a lot of distaste for Russell Westbrook.
so guess what? The Lakers are up 13 again.
Yeah, I know. I see that.
So it's only 13 points. They can blow that pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing in the second half. They've been blowing their big leads. So D'Angelo Russell though has set 15 tonight, so he went from 0 last game to 15 tonight.
Whoa, kudos to him.
Well, so long as that's all they're blowing.
Big baller.
So, yeah. Now, when it talked about wrestling and squandering momentum, let's cross over the river to AEW.
On the other side of the pond.
So, of course, I do not watch the AEW pay-per-views because I'm not going to spend $50 to watch a show that I can barely tolerate watching for free. Or let me rephrase that, a show I can't tolerate to watch for free.
They're charging $50 for their pay-per-views.
I think so.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
about that.
I don't care how many bangers they put on.
I got a banger for you.
I know.
That's what she said.
I was on the phone with AJ the other night, and he used the term about 3 times in 5 seconds, and I was literally going to freak out and tell him to stop.
Really? He's using
3
that
times
term.
in 5 seconds.
It was a banger. Oh my god, he's falling into the AEW trap.
Yeah, he really is.
It's a banger. Shut the hell up.
But I've said anybody who uses that term, and it doesn't matter if they're talking about AEW or WWE, it's like, just shut the fuck up.
It's a banger.
If you can't say good, if you can't say good match or great match when it's the same number of goddamn syllables, fucking you fucking kids and your slang. Anyway, so they had their pay-per-view last week. It seems like it was pretty well regarded.
Yes, well, from what I've read, yes.
Again,
Yes.
everybody's saying the Osprey Danielson match was so great. Even Cornette liked it, so it must have been something good. So they start their show on Wednesday night. They have like a presumably pre-tape segment that starts with the Bucks and Okada, and then Jungle Jack off coming out, rolling up, and then saying that they're going to do something tonight. Okay, that's fine. That's fine to start the show with that little like tease, I guess you can say, being that Jungle Jack off reappears on the pay-per-view. The Bucks win the tag belts. Okada retained his belt. Okay, fine, great. I now am fully expecting the show to kick off with Swerve Strickland because he just won their world title. I know it's hard to remember that that's their world. I remember it's hard to remember that that's their world title when they have 18,000 other titles. And when the week before they had Moxley starting the show with this big promo segment, I'm the IWGP champion and you all suck. But no, that's not how the show starts. The show does not start with Swerve in any way. The show fucking starts with Orange Cassidy's fucking music playing. And then all of a sudden, a beat up Orange Cassidy gets thrown out through the entranceway by whichever one of his Jagoff friends turned on them. I don't remember.
Oh, Trent Beretta.
I don't remember. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't remember which one it was because I don't care to know which one it was. They're all fucking waste of time. So as soon as I saw that, I said, "Well, fuck this," and I changed the channel. And I went back to the show only 2 times. Once right before the 9 o'clock hour when the season finale of the Vice Icons Unearthed Batman series was airing, and I was catching the end of the Willow versus Mercedes promo and being reminded about how much of a waste of time Mercedes has been since she has appeared on the show.
Very much so.
If she wasn't
they have
clear,
done nothing
if
with
she,
her yet.
if she wasn't cleared to wrestle, then you shouldn't have brought her on the show. And I don't care that you were running a show in Boston. It was her hometown and blah, 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 blah. If she's that big a star and you're paying her this much money, she'll get a great response no matter where the fuck you are. So anyway, moving on then. I did also hear enough to hear them say about the Bucks backstage with that dumbass looking backstage announcer or backstage interviewer and saying that there was going to be a confrontation in the ring between Tony Khan and Jungle Jackoff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to turn back on for the end of the show for that. I don't know what exactly I was expecting to see. It wasn't really what happened because I guess I just didn't think that Tony Khan would get involved physically for several reasons. One, his stated his stated declaration in the past that he doesn't want to be an on-air character, even though he's done pretty much everything that he can to undermine that belief.
Correct.
Two, the fact that he is a non-wrestler, and I doubt very much that he's trained to take bumps. I mean, I think I'm probably better equipped to take a bump than he is.
I would say yes.
At least I've got some cushioning. And three, the whole concept of if they get him involved physically, where do they go with it? You know, what's the progression? What's the story? How do they handle this? So of course, Jungle Jackoff gives him a weird punch to the stomach with the microphone.
So
and he falls on his back.
Did rolls over.
Proving that he's never taken a punch in his life. And I mean, I'm not saying it's like, it's some badge of honor to say you've been in a fight or whatever, but it's like, I don't think I've ever seen somebody fall on their back like that after getting punched in the gut. Because if anything, like you would be doubled over, you would fall forward.
Top 5 worst bump in wrestling history.
So then the Bucks and Okada come out to the ring, and the Bucks start picking. They're like, "What are you doing, Jungle Jackoff?" And they start picking Tony up, and they're setting him up for that weak ass double knee that they do. Fight me on that. That move sucks.
I'll fight you on anything. What do you want to fight about?
And then but instead of doing that, they then pick him up and they give him what was the Meltzer driver is now the Tony Khan driver. Okay. Cool. I mean, yeah.
Daddy Khan came out.
Yeah. So then after this is all going on, and then finally a bunch of referees start coming down to the ring. And other people and some like baby faces, none of whom I really could recognize because they weren't the baby faces that anybody gives a rat's ass about.
Pretty much.
And then, his father fucking shows up and everything. They're really selling the seriousness of the situation.
Yeah, he did. He did.
So again, cool, And I will admit, I am intrigued at the very least to see where do they go with this from here. Now, here's the problems, and there are multiple problems. Number one, if you watched Tony Khan in the days since, he was selling the effects of the attack because he was depicted on camera in the Jaguars war room and all this other shit wearing a neck brace. And I will applaud him for that, for keeping up with the kayfabe. And then I will stop applauding when you realize that if you saw him in any of these pictures, him in this neck brace, he's doing this.
Yeah, you can't do it. He's selling it so wrong.
Maybe it's just for support.
If you're in a neck brace, you can't move your neck.
It's like, oh. Yeah, he wasn't doing that.
Go back and find pictures of Andy Kaufman selling the pile driver from Jerry Lawler when he was in the neck brace. He didn't move his fucking neck.
Oh,
So it's like, Tony, yay, but you did it wrong. Now, you mentioned you weren't watching Collision tonight. I was pulling up the results here because they were letting Swerve talk on this show. Imagine that. But they made an announcement that Tony Khan is not cleared to travel after suffering multiple head and neck injuries, which also then undermines him even appearing on camera in the Jaguars war room. Because if he truly had suffered multiple head and neck injuries, he couldn't be well enough to be in the fucking NFL draft war room, for Christ's sake. I don't care what his fucking position with the Jaguars is. But if that's the case, and then that means that, he won't be there. At the very least, it means that he can't be on camera this coming episode of Dynamite. And of course, they've already announced that Kenny Omega is going to be on the show.
which, by the way, he was not supposedly he was not told. That was a surprise. He did not know he was showing up on that show.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
Yeah, that came out today. I didn't get a chance to read the
okay.
article, but it was on a couple different wrestling websites where he was like, I didn't know I was showing up.
Very interesting. Now, the funny thing about that too is the latest word that I've heard is that he is going to need surgery on his guts, as it were, because of the
Yep.
diverticulitis.
Yep.
So we know exactly what's happening on Wednesday. The elite are just going to beat the shit out of him. Like they already did the whole thing a few weeks ago where the Bucks said he was fired from the elite or suspended. I don't remember which one it was. Now they're going to make it like official with the physicality thing. They're just going to take him out. Maybe they'll give him a Meltzer driver. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. We just all know that that's what's the result of this is going to be. And obviously, whenever the hell he can come back and wrestle, whenever the fuck that's going to be, is when they'll revisit this. All right.
Yeah.
So like I said, I am a little intrigued, but there are some obvious problems with this. Now, first and foremost, so shouldn't they all be fired now? Now, I saw some people saying, well, the NWO didn't get fired. Okay.
Valid point
Couple things about that, though.
to an
What
extent.
officials did the NWO ever attack? They attacked Bischoff when Nash pile drived him at the Great American or power bombed him, I'm sorry, through the table thing at the Great American Bash. Right? But as we would learn months later, when they revealed that Bischoff was working with the NWO, and again, it did take them like several months to get to that point, we found out that Bischoff was working with them from pretty much that point on. So that's why it made sense that they didn't get fired. And also, of course, if you recall, they weren't really with the company because they were the outsiders. And once, they did the whole thing at Bash at the Beach and Hogan joined everything again. I don't really remember, and maybe somebody can correct me, and that's fine. But I don't remember them ever really attacking officials. They attacked other wrestlers and everything. So, but again, the behind the scenes thing then too was that Bischoff was covering them for them the whole time. So I don't know that that's a great comparison. Then another one that I saw people bring up was, well, Vince never fired Austin. Okay, better comparison.
Yes, that is a better comparison.
Now, the way, of course, that whole storyline played out was that Vince wanted to make Austin's life a living hell because Austin wouldn't play by Vince's rules. So it wasn't like a thing about, how dare you attack me, you're fired. It was more of an ego thing. Vince saying, I can take care of myself. Look at these guns, Remember the first time they wrestled, but it was also, I'm going to break you. You are going to do what I tell you to do. So it was an ego thing. So conceivably they could try to go that route here, But then, of course, there's just one very big problem with that. Vince was the heel.
Yes.
Tony
There's a
doesn't
face.
doesn't think he's the heel. There was definitely some cheering going on though when the Bucks dropped him.
I know there was.
Do
They
they
were
care?
cheering for the Bucks. They were just cheering that he got beat.
But the problem with that now too is that the Bucks. I know AJ is going to be very upset with me for saying this, but the Bucks don't draw. You look at the ratings for Dynamite every week, the numbers always drop during their segments, always.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you can suddenly make them baby faces out of this. Even though when you technically come right down to it, Jungle Jackoff really does have a good point. Kayfabe. You suspended me for 8 months when I got attacked and everything. And of course he wasn't.
Suck it up, bitch.
Well, that's the thing. As we know, he wasn't blameless in that. He just didn't. The only thing he didn't do was physically instigate the altercation. He did everything to instigate it otherwise. He just didn't throw the first blow in any way.
I would have loved to have been able to hear the audio from that.
Well, yeah, of course.
And just
That's-
have
He
him
had
about
to
the-
have said. He had to have said something to piss Punk off.
Well, yeah. I mean, he already had, of course, with what he said to the camera during the match. But then, yeah.
But he had to say something else.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So, and I was listening to Dutch Mantel this afternoon with his take on what happened. And he brought up something that Cornette has brought up in the past about Montreal, which was that Vince thought he was the babyface in the situation. When Vince did the whole interview with JR about Bret Screwed Bret, Vince thought he was the babyface. Quickly found out that he wasn't, and they did rightly pivot. I don't know if AEW is willing to do that for a few reasons, and the main reason is that, again, he's probably proving me right when I insisted to this guy on Facebook that he does want to be an on-air character, despite how many times as he said to the contrary. I just don't. I don't see how you can do this unless he becomes like Vince in terms of just being like the evil
owner.
the evil owner, the evil puppet master. But big difference is that Vince, of course, could get physical and started to get physical during the whole feud with Austin and everything. Tony Khan can't. He can't. He's not trained to wrestle. He shouldn't be anywhere near a ring. I mean, this is a guy who almost tripped over the middle rope getting into the ring once. For Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, if you think about it from this point of view too, is Vince grew up around wrestling and was running the company behind the scenes for how many years before he became an on-air personality as far as being part of the ring entertainment. He was an announcer. He was still running the company, but I don't think it was as well known as is it when he was announcing that he was the owner and operator of the company. But he put in a lot of time from being under his dad, taking the company over from his dad, to understanding how it works and how to be an on-air personality and wrestler. Like, you believed when Vince was saying stuff in that, when he was part of these different storylines that he was involved in. Like, you could believe him, and he'd had, I wouldn't say the best promos, but good enough that you would hate him. You know, that he could draw you into the, you got to hate me because I'm bad, you know, in that. So Tony Khan doesn't have that. He sounds like a sniveling little baby. I shouldn't say baby. He sounds like a sniveling, whiny brat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, he does. What's going to be the draw for that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so.
Yeah. Once Vince was willing to get physical, then there was that sense he definitely wanted to see him get beat because, again, it was one of those great instances of, oh, you could live vicariously through Austin, and Austin wants to beat up his boss, and who doesn't want to beat up their boss, you know? even if they were to pivot and make Tony Khan the heel in all of this, he can't get physical. So there's never going to be that, so even if there's going to be that want to see him get beat, it can't really happen,
Right.
So again, I'm still like intrigued to see where they go with this, but I just don't think it's going to work because one, he's the one doing the booking, and I think his booking blows. Now Swerve tonight at the beginning of his promo, at the beginning of the show, called them out and said it was a bitch move. So, all right, match Swerve up against them, but which guy is supposed to wrestle Swerve for the title then? The Bucks are holding the tag belts again. Okada's holding the who gives a fuck title. And Jungle Jackoff shouldn't get a title shot because he sucks. I'm only going to say that maybe he's gotten better now, but
So the thing that I find interesting is, and I was telling Joe about this before we went live. I was listening to Busted Open, and they were talking about AEW. I listened to their Dynasty. They talked a little bit about Dynasty, which was their pay-per-view, and then they went into the breakdown of. And I had listened to that. I had listened to that, their breakdown of Dynasty, and then I was starting to listen to their breakdown because I wanted to hear the episode where they talked about the videotape. But
I love
the
those
one thing
guys because they're so like they're so real and they don't play favorites.
No, it was interesting. The only thing that I didn't necessarily agree with them on is how much Prince Nana has elevated Swerve. I didn't agree with that. Now, I'm not saying Prince Nana hasn't done something, but I don't think he made Swerve relevant.
I think Nana
Yeah.
made himself relevant.
Right. And now people that like Swerve and like Nana, now you get to see two people you like at the same time all the time,
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. I don't think Nana has really helped. Swerve was already over. Like he didn't need any help getting over. He already could talk on the mic, at least halfway decently, if not better than, a lot of guys in AEW. So, I don't know, like I said, if it really helped Swerve get over. I think it was more that they wanted to have something more to the gimmick of Swerve, and that's why they added Prince Nana. I don't know. So like I said, that was the only part that I didn't agree with them about with the whole Prince Nana thing. I was like, I don't know about that. Like, I get it. They probably like Prince Nana, but I wasn't sure
They
about
do.
the whole, adding to Swerve as far as like development of character and stuff like that. So
Yeah, he's developed himself. I mean, he's definitely helped Swerve a little bit in certain aspects, but I just believe that, like I said, Nana got himself over with the dancing and all that jazz. So that was one of those type of things. But it's here's the other thing. I understand that AEW has a relationship with New Japan. Fine. No problem with that at all. The wrestlers come over here, our wrestlers go over there, whatever the case may be. And that's fine. But what drives me crazy is the fact that you have the main event of your show is showcasing another company's championship belt. Why? Why do we have to have the main event as Jon Moxley defending the IWGP Heavyweight Championship on your show? You should not have that. You want to do that? You open the show with somebody defending a title that's not within your promotion. You have that maybe in the middle of the show. The main event should be and
highlighting
always should
your
be
talent.
your
And your titles.
title, your heavyweight champion, your world tag team champions, not another fucking promotions.
Yeah, but they've been
And
doing
that's
like I
that's
feel
another
like
misstep by him.
I think AEW's been doing that too long because I mean I know that they like before it got its own show because ROH now has its own show again, right? If I remember that correctly.
Yeah, it's on the streaming. It's back on the original ROH streaming thing. Tony like re activated that. So yeah, you can subscribe to it and all that stuff. Put it that way.
So before that, they were highlighting main events with the ROH title, which is not necessarily terrible, but it's like,
Yeah, but they owned them
what's
at that time.
what's that?
They owned them at that time.
Right. And they owned them at that time, but it's just like that's not a title that is relevant to the Dynamite show or to the Collision show or to the Rampage show. That is a title that is relevant to ROH. And I know you want to highlight it, but you can put it in, like you just said, put it in the middle of your show. Why would you want to put that at the end of your show when it's not relevant to the talent that is part of Dynamite, the main roster? Like it's not.
Yep. Yeah, even
Does
listen,
he does
yeah,
not know how to book?
yeah, and it's funny how he was asked that question, in the scrim in the media scrum, after the pay-per-view. Listen, he needs to get somebody in there to tell him no, really, honestly. And it doesn't need to be the wrestlers all the time because,
It shouldn't be the wrestlers.
no. And it's one of the things, listen, AEW is on a different street than WWE is, like they promoted the AEW Dynasty pay-per-view as wrestling. Yes, all those matches were very good wrestling matches. If you're going to promote your promotion like that, that's fine. But just because you're promoted on the best wrestling on the planet, you still need to learn how to do the other parts of sports entertainment or pro wrestling as far as telling stories, booking properly, putting the right people together to work, so on, so on, and so on. Because it's been very lackluster for the most part. And I do kind of feel that, they had momentum when they were doing this whole, AEW versus NXT shit and Punk coming back and then Adam Cole showing up and then, Daniel Bryanson showing up and like all the kind of like people that were unveiled as the new people of AEW, the signings, a couple of them. And they just kind of lost momentum and all the stuff started happening. And you see the changes in people's job titles in the back, but at the end of the day, the same shit's still going on. Nothing's really, as a fan of wrestling, seeing it from the outside, I'm not seeing anything really changing for the best, realistically.
Yeah.
And their women's division is okay. I like Willow Nightingale. I've seen a lot of her in TNA. I think she's a really good wrestler. She's average on the mic. There's other females on there that they've signed that they just need to get good storylines for the women. And I'm sorry, Britt Baker, when she comes back, is not saving the women's division at all.
No. One
She's
person
just
doesn't save a division.
She's
It
going
can
to
help
be
it.
yeah, she's going to help it, but she's not going to save it.
And see, Tony Khan's fallen in the same trap. Didn't he say when he first started, he's like, I'm not going to do like WCW and take all of WWE's old wrestlers?
He's done
He
it.
did exactly that thing. That's exactly what he's done. And he hasn't brought back the wrestlers that can wrestle, especially when it comes to the women's division. Like Saraya, how many matches she legitimately wrestled, like and been majorly involved in?
5, 6.
And now you got Mercedes Moné. How many matches has she wrestled in since she's been signed?
Yeah, I mean, we even know like what her she's going to be medically cleared for the May pay-per-view. That's great, but until then, that's another thing. We should see her very few times, and she should be doing some vignettes and whatever to kind of get, keep her on TV, but not doing anything physically in the ring if she's not cleared.
So it's just it's one of those things like Adam Cole. Adam Cole's another one. Like Adam Cole was,
He's
they
been
brought him
injured too
in.
much since he's come
He's
over.
he started off okay, and then all of a sudden he got hurt, and he hasn't been healthy since. Not since that first injury that he got. Like he's been
Yeah, the
injured
concussion had
consistently.
him out for like over a year, and then he came back, and then he does that, jumps off the stage and fractures his ankle. So, yeah, that,
And it's just interesting. Like these same people that were wrestling for double WWE. I don't want to say you never heard about them having injuries, but never anything that was significant that kept them out for super long periods of time. Now wrestlers do have that happen, but
yeah,
it's just like it seems to be a thing with AEW. Like people get hurt there, and there always seem to be pretty major injuries.
Yep. It's because of everybody thinks they got to go and do the most outrageous shit all the time.
now you're promoting
So
yourself as the best wrestling promotion, which is fine, but the problem is you're also not.
gotta wrestle safe.
Yes, you're not pulling the reins back a little bit and like, listen, you do not need to do this shit on fucking day weekly shows. Save some of this for pay-per-views, change up a little bit. You can still have your great wrestling matches, but you don't need to fucking, you know, you know, go in your fucking full bag of tricks and break them out every goddamn show. And that's what that's their another Achilles heel that they have for them. Oh, damn it, Lakers won.
Yeah, they're gonna win.
That's all right. They're going back to Denver. Denver's
They're
going to
gonna
take them
probably talk
down.
about LeBron's behind the back steal from Jokic. They'll probably talk about that like it was the greatest play ever.
Yeah, after Jokic made him look like a fool the game before. So yeah, whatever.
They'll probably compare it to Jordan's steal from Malone. I'm sorry, that's not the same thing. It didn't seal a game. It didn't seal a series. They were the way that the Denver Nuggets played this game. They were going to lose anyways. Like it wasn't going to be that play did not cause anything different in the series. It's just one of those things. You know how it is. You know how they're going to talk about it because.
Yeah, silliness,
But I will say
silliness.
this: LeBron threw two giant temper tantrums after bad calls, or what he deemed as bad calls,
Of
and the
course.
refs did not tee him up. And any other player does that, teed instantly.
Yeah,
Especially the way he was acting. He was jumping up and down and screaming, like literally throwing a temper tantrum.
yeah. He should have been teed for that.
Because
Absolutely should have been teed.
any other player has gotten teed for that. Players have gotten teed for less. Like uh, Luka Doncic, he passed the ball to a ref, and the ref didn't evidently want the ball passed to him right at that point in time, and the ref teed him up. Like they, I've seen players get teed for such terrible things, and this guy's freaking jumping up and down, screaming and yelling, and the refs just ignore him. It's like you can't do that. I don't care who he is. Like you got to treat these players. There's got to be. If you're going to give leeway to LeBron, you better give leeway to the other players because they're not doing anything different. They're actually, some of them are doing less.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
That's all good.
yeah. Hell, I figured that would happen. I'm like, I'm going to watch this game and then the Lakers are going to win. I'm going to be the Nuggets kryptonite for watching that.
So
Yes, sir.
moving back to what we were on. So the other day, Tuesday, this was.
Tuesday.
A group on Facebook posted that NFL Films will follow Tony Khan during the week of the NFL draft as he tries to manage AEW and the Jaguars. The draft happens from April 25th to 27th, and the film crew will follow Khan from April 24th to 29th. So I posted a comment saying, but he doesn't want to be an on air character. So a guy replied to me saying, correct, in AEW TV, this is NFL TV, which follows players and teams and owners at times. And I just replied to this guy, hold on. My point is that he loves being on camera as much as he can. And then another guy jumped in and was like, does he? Do you actually watch? He almost never shows up. How many times does he make important announcements?
Yeah, very much.
Which I didn't even get to. Because I just replied to him, I'm not referring to the weekly shows. And he's like, so the internet, not helping yourself. And I said, the constant press conferences where he takes as many softball questions as he can and then won't answer any tough questions he's asked, yet takes 1,000 words to answer them. Kind of like this. My guy, all this and your best response is press conferences? Bro, go outside, please. So
Go outside.
I think you should go outside. Sounds like you
right. So it's like getting
He
insulting
needs to
right
touch some
away.
grass.
Getting insulting right away when I wasn't insulting this guy at all. And I said, I've been outside several times today. I'm sorry that you don't like my opinion. It's going to keep me up at night.
I like that response.
And then
That's
he goes,
fun.
I hope it does. Letting Khan live in your head because checks notes is an on-air character at checks next page press conferences. Well, I really wanted to say something about anybody who has to make those like checks notes comments when they're doing in the middle of a fucking put down. But I just said, by your logic, I'm now living in your head because you keep pursuing this. And the original guy jumped back in who said he's definitely not like the McMahon family who loves it. And I just said to that guy, well, yeah, screw them too. And then so the second guy comes in, takes two to tango, my guy, but only one of us made a dumb comment and the other is me. So I just dropped it there because I'm like,
I hate the my guy. I am not your guy.
I ain't your
All right.
guy.
I'm not even close to.
buddy.
I
Yeah,
hate
but-
that my guy shit. Yo, my guy.
But I'm like, I'm just not.
I'm not your guy.
I'm not dropping this because fuck them, you know. But then Wednesday night happened.
Ah, yes.
So I just immediately went back to the post and I said, looks like I wasn't dumb. And then he comes back again, my guy, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm not about to read old comments to do so. Come back quicker next time. Yeah.
Apparently, you don't watch the product.
And I said, I guess
Yeah.
you didn't watch. All you had to do was watch tonight's show, not read old comments. And he goes, I'm watching it right now. Starts at 8 with my cable, which doesn't make any sense to me because this was, of course, that would have been after 10 o'clock Eastern time. And from what I read, one of the reasons that the ratings were so goddamn abysmal for Dynamite this week was because the show aired live coast to coast. So I guess he DVR'd it. I don't know. I don't care. But needless to say, he did not come back with any comments after that.
I'm not surprised.
And I'm at this point, I'm certainly not about to again because fuck this idiot. But I was right, okay? I was fucking right. The son of a bitch loves being on camera, no matter what the fuck he says. And there's no way that he can't be an on-air camera going forward after this. So stuff it, you fucking asshole.
So have either of you seen the trailer for Furiosa?
We're not done with wrestling yet.
I'm just asking a question, and we can go right back in.
Why?
Okay.
What does this have to do with what we were just talking about?
I am
It
not
doesn't, but it's Mad Max, so I'm just interested because now they're doing a whole series of Mad Max based on one character that Charlize Theron played.
Yes, I have.
Oh, that trailer. Yes,
I have an opinion on that, but let's finish talking about wrestling.
Yes, finish talking about wrestling. I just happened to see a commercial for it because I put on Rampage. I was like, well, let me watch the rest of Rampage because I'm sure this is fucking awesome.
Wow.
Watching Rampage, you deserve a bonus for that. Anybody?
I'll take the booby prize.
So, Tony Khan was then interviewed by NFL Network.
Oh,
I
yes. Here we go.
guess it was yesterday. And now I have to find the exact quote here, so it's going to take me a second to do so because many stories have been posted to the site since.
Is this the one that you are talking about? Oh no, he made that comment on X, right? About
Oh, that was
Did
from that was from the NFL Network. That's where I got it from.
Yeah, so here's the story that Cage Side Seats published about this. Tony Khan is getting a ton of free publicity for AEW by selling the effects of the Young Bucks attack on him from the April 24th Dynamite at this week's NFL Draft in Detroit, even though that's not where he is. that's where the draft was being taken place, but he wasn't in Detroit. This afternoon, which was yesterday, the 26th, the attention Khan's been getting and the fact that he's the chief football strategy officer for
That's
his
a made-up
father
title.
Shad's NFL team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, led to an appearance on the kickoff show for the draft second night. Ad popped up. For the first portion of the interview, it's mostly just kayfabe fun as Tony talks about the attack and laughs with the host about how the Bucs recently renamed the move they gave him the Tony Khan driver, so he should have seen it coming. Point to him on that one. That is funny. He plays up how deadly the move is and calls back to the old Memphis wrestling angle about the spike pile driver being banned in Tennessee. And I think that
How deadly the
I don't remember if that was tied.
Deadly.
I don't remember if that was tied into the Andy Kaufman stuff or it was just when like Lawler was on a heel run. But when he's asked what his father thought of the attack, TK pivots into talking about AEW's place in the current pro wrestling market. He makes a reference to the AFL from the 1960s that merged with the NFL and became that league's American Football Conference while hyping AEW's success, then goes after the industry leader in a way that leads the host to cut him off and wrap things up. And this is an exact quote. AEW, we've been doing this for 5 years. We are the most successful sports startup since the AFL pre-merger. There has not been a challenger brand that has gained as much market share as AEW in many, many years. I don't think your market share is nearly as high as you do. We are like the Pepsi of pro wrestling. We're up against a really evil juggernaut. WWE is our competitor. That's who we're facing. AEW, like the Pepsi of pro wrestling. WWE is like the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. I'm really proud of what we do down here, and I guess that's where they cut him off. Now,
Yeah,
first
you
of all,
can't say that name on air and like expect to be able to continue talking.
now first of all, mix metaphors much, motherfucker.
That's bad.
He
We're
started
the
saying
AFL.
about
We're
how
the AFL. They're the NFL.
AEW is to Pepsi as WWE is to Harvey Weinstein. What the fuck?
It doesn't
It
even make
makes
sense.
no sense.
I was waiting for the Coke reference. I'm like,
Exactly. If he said WWE is Coke, then fine.
and I don't know if you
Oh
want to
my God.
reference yourself as the AFL and them as the NFL because that means eventually you're going to be merged into one and you
You'll
won't
be bought
exist
out by
anymore.
the
Right, that's
other.
the other thing too. If you're saying that you're like, if you're saying they're the most successful startup since the AFL, okay, fine. But then you're also gone away, kind of saying, "Oh, gee, we've been doing this for 5 years, so in 5 more years we'll be merging with WWE." Because that's what the AFL did. It was 10 years,
Yeah.
And also, AEW is not to Pepsi as WWE is to Coke because Pepsi has a much bigger market share of the soft drink market than AEW does of the wrestling market. And fucking fight me on that one, too.
Whew. Shane Taylor's a big boy.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he
But,
is.
okay. So the obvious controversial part of what you said, the Harvey Weinstein shit. First of all, not a good thing to be referencing Harvey Weinstein in a week where his fucking conviction got thrown out,
Yeah,
which is going to necessitate a goddamn retrial. It's like, don't give him any more fucking publicity.
makes no sense.
Now, obviously, we also know what he's referring to. He's referring to all the shit with Vince and the Janelle Grant lawsuit and everything like that. And you know what? That would be perfectly valid if Vince was still a fucking part of the company, and he's not.
Nope.
All right. Just because there's been allegations that people like maybe knew about it or covered up who are still with the company, but they're also not the ones being sued. So it's a little tenuous. But also, the last paragraph in the article, it'll certainly lead to a lot of debate about who's responsible for fanning the flames of pro wrestling tribalism. And whether that's as good for AEW's business as Tony Khan thinks it is. The ratings certainly say that it's not, and so does the attendance figures. It will also almost certainly lead to some bringing up Khan's handling of questions about sexual harassment at his own company and names who've been accused of misconduct that are on his payroll. And those are 2 links on those 2 comments. The handling of questions about sexual harassment at his own company involves the stuff that happened back in December about Chris Jericho. And I don't know if you've noticed this either, but talk about somebody who the audience has really turned against ever since that story came out. They were
I didn't
chanting.
hear about that. What did Chris Jericho supposedly do?
He was a key. Hold on, I got to get back to it. He was accused of sexually harassing. What the hell was the woman's name?
Oh, speaking of such,
I can't find it.
it was reported today that Kevin Kelly is going to file a lawsuit against AEW and is from being fired.
Well, that'll be fun then. That could lead to some ugly shit. Watch him settle that as quick as he can, so nothing gets made public. And the funny thing is, I kind of think that they were justified for firing him, but I can't find the stuff about Jericho now.
But it's a female personality.
Yes. Yeah, there's somebody who used to work for the. Sorry, text message distracted me. Because it was. I didn't know if it was something.
AJ's text message you yelling at you for the comments.
No, it was.
How dare you speak evil of the AEW monster?
My bad.
It was my sister, but no, there was a thing that it was about like Jericho, like supposedly like sexually harassing this one woman who doesn't work for the company anymore, and that there was like NDA signed, of course, because that's Tony's go-to shit. And
I don't think you should be able to have an NDA in a public company like that.
Well, they're not a public company.
I mean, I shouldn't say a public company. Companies that's in the public eye like that. Non-disclosure agreement. Sorry, you can't say anything about your time here. Yeah, I'm not signing that shit.
So anyway, like
I get what you're saying.
But Tony Khan basically deflected all questions about that at the time. And the part of the article where it says names who have been accused of misconduct that are on his payroll is referring, of course, to the Nature Boy. So,
yeah, pretty much sure the Nature Boy probably did that in every company he ever worked for.
Exactly, but
not to say that's good. I'm laughing because it's kind of scary.
But here's the thing. When there are some questions, at the very least, about some people who do still currently work for your company, don't go bringing up shit like that. It's fucking stupid. It's just going to get you into more trouble at some point down the road because inevitably something will happen. And then somebody will be able to bring this back up, throw it in your face. I thought WWE was the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling, but now such and such did such and such. Again, both sides in this, AEW and WWE, just shut the fuck up about the other one.
Yeah, they need to stop that. And that's my biggest gripe is they both need to stop taking shots at each other because it's really not like WWE can care less. They're a juggernaut. They're going to keep going.
Again, like I said, Grayson Waller said something like a week or so ago, and I think he was stupid for doing it. But yeah, I mean,
CM Punk also made a comment about, how something about winning something. Are you going to get a tattoo? Because Ospreay got a tattoo for like the attendance shit for All Out or All In, whatever. In the UK. So it's like both sides. Just knock it the fuck off and worry about your own shows. But for WWE, it doesn't matter because they're a juggernaut and they're going to keep rolling along, and that shit's not going to be detrimental, but it's going to be more detrimental to AEW.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, AEW is not taking our advice because at the beginning of his promo tonight, according to the recap here, after Swerve addressed the Elite and, said that beating up a non-fighter is a bitch move, which got the fans to apparently start chanting bitch move. Time to get to business, though. The most important thing that happened this week was Swerve winning the title at Dynasty. It's a pet peeve of his that people walk around calling themselves the best in the world, but the real best in the world is whoever is holding that championship, and that would be him.
Mic drop.
No, that's not a fucking mic drop. That's me dropping my mouse to show that, everything just went kerplunk. You still can't get over him. He is still the biggest fucking star in your company, and he works for the other guys now.
Yep.
Just stop referencing him because when you say shit like that, I don't know that it happened. It doesn't say that anything happened, but you're going to encourage people to start chanting CM Punk. You fucking want them chanting CM Punk at your sparsely attended shows, you idiots.
I have to laugh because, what Punk clarified why he says he's the best in the world. He doesn't think he's better than everybody else. Like, that's not the whole point of it. He's the best because of the effort that he puts in, the thought behind everything. It's like the best in the world. Essentially, he's talking about himself being the best that he can be at what his craft is, not being better than everybody else. But I can see how it can be misinterpreted because of the fact that the way that he puts it, best in the world, you know. But that means helping elevate everybody else and making the product better and everything that goes on with it from him being able to help do that. So it's just it's funny that Swerve would mention that. Like, you almost feel like in the AEW side, they're like, okay, listen, in your promos, if you're a bad guy, you need to take a pot shot at Punk. Figure out how you can work that into your promo.
But Swerve isn't a bad guy anymore. He's a face now. I mean, he's one of the few guys that's getting good crowd responses all the time and everything. And he's pretty much a face and everything. So
Yeah.
it just, oh boy. It's like if Punk was still working for the company and you wanted to make that line, fine. But he's not. He's not gonna be.
Nope.
You're constantly building to a match with him that's never going to happen.
And they could have made a lot of money if they would have played that right the first time.
If certain people just had a set of balls, in the sense of, well, I guess you could say they had a set of balls by storming into the locker room. But if they had a sense of intelligence, really, about what they were doing and how they were doing it,
yeah, there's always people within a company that are going to do the best thing that's for them. And there's nothing wrong with politicking for yourself to try and get yourself opportunities.
Yeah, especially in this goddamn business. I mean,
but ultimately, what you need to be doing is, if you are politicking for yourself, it's to help make the company better, not just you better. It's to help make the company grow. So if you're going to politic for yourself, it should be in the lines of, okay, if we do this, we can help grow the tag team division, or we can help grow this title and the storyline behind it. If we do this, and I would like to be a part of that, and this is how I feel like I can be a part of that, and we can make this better. Not, I think I deserve a title shot. Work me into the storyline, and not that kind of. It's not supposed to be about you. It's supposed to you in the smaller picture of the company, bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the guys from AEW, we hear too often that the politicking that they do is just about them.
Yeah.
And what is best for them to put more money in their pocket or highlight them on a show. And then you get these sometimes convoluted storylines that AEW just puts out there. And it's like, okay.
That makes no sense and random. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah. But I mean, that's always been one of my biggest criticisms of the Bucks specifically, not so much Omega. I guess Omega seems to be at least a little different when it comes to this stuff, especially with some of the comments he's made.
Well, he's been around a lot longer too.
Well, but anyway, but my whole point is the Bucks, and you would have to prove this to me for me to think otherwise. The Bucks are not interested in doing what's right for the company. The Bucks are interested in doing what's right for the Bucks. And that's fine to a certain extent. But when they hold these positions, they should be thinking about what's good for the company, and they don't. Because if they were thinking about what's good for the company, they would have just said, all right, they would have sat down with Punk. They would have said, we're pissed at you for what you said about this. Tell us why you're pissed with us. But let's just hash this out and let's figure out how we can make this into money.
And I don't have to like you, and you don't have to like me, but let's work it because we got to
Yeah.
work together.
Again,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always used the example of, again, Jacques Rougeau sucker punching Dynamite Kid with the roll of quarters after, the constant ribbing from him, but those teams still went out and worked with each other in the ring.
Yeah.
Brett and Sean, of course, we had issues with Edger. They still had that match at Survivor Series, even though it was, the bullshit ending and everything. And I'm sure there's been plenty of other times where you could go back and find instances where guy A and guy B didn't like each other, but they fucking worked in the ring and they made something of it, So I just don't get it. And again, that's why Cornette and some other people derisively call it all friends wrestling, because they only want to work with their friends. And they get their friends hired who have no business being around. There's no fucking reason that Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler should have ever been on a fucking wrestling show. Fucking jokes. So, but again, let's just see where they go with this. I'll give them a couple of weeks to see what they do with it. Like I said, I'm intrigued to watch next week, but if they're saying that Tony Khan's not going to be there and we know Omega is, and again, like I said, we know exactly what that's going to happen. The four of them are just going to beat the shit out of Omega to just further help write him off TV until he's ready to go again, which is going to be God knows when, because you remember Brock was out for a long time when he had the diverticulitis when he was still doing UFC and everything, and it pretty much made him have to stop doing UFC. So I don't know. They do have a chance to maybe get some momentum back here now with Swerve as a champion, with having good feelings after the pay-per-view and everything. But, and he just books like a drunken idiot where there's never much continuity. There's never much logic. And then, the matches again I have my own issues with the way they book their matches, but that's something else entirely. So yeah, I'm just saying that's not part of like what I'm criticizing them for right now. Is like, again, I'm criticizing the booking and the thing again. So you can have banger after banger after banger, but if there's no reason for it,
I'm wondering if this match on Rampage would be considered a banger.
Banger? Who you banging? Who is she? Who is the her that you're banging?
Well, I think you know who I would like to be.
Indeed.
I sent a text message about her last night.
Indeed.
This match on Rampage has been very interesting.
She got a shit assignment on last night's show too.
She did.
So make Kayla go do that one. Jackie's better.
Yeah.
It's bad enough she had Becky take the mic away from her on Monday and everything.
I know. Rude. What match is going on, Jeremy? What's on? The look on your face looks like you'd rather be taking a shit than watching that match.
Well, at least it's finally over. That's all I can say.
Well then,
I guess it was that banging.
It was just like
that banging of the banger, guys. Yeah.
They have the really heavy set dude, and of course they're playing just like they're doing the WWE shtick where the guy that's, I'm just gonna use the word fat, is super strong. I'm sorry, not every heavy set guy is freaking super strong. I'm so tired of that terrible gimmick.
Hercules.
Yeah. That's what I feel like. I feel like we should see that lady doing a Hercules, like sitting out in the crowd.
That was Eddie Murphy.
I know. Well, the character that Eddie Murphy was playing. I can't. The Gumps. No, not the Gumps. What the fuck was the Clumps? Thank you. Like, I really feel like Mama Clump should be out there screaming that. And like these other two guys, I'm sure they've been on like one of the other shows, but it was the really skinny Asian dude. I can't think of his. Can't remember his name. And of course, they're not showing it on the screen. They're showing their freaking stupid stuff for Dynamite coming up next week.
Yes.
Yeah, got to promote the show.
Damn, I look short when I sit back in this chair. Let me put this down.
Oh, and that's another part though too of what they did on Dynamite Wednesday night. they announced during the show while it's going on that there's going to be this in-ring confrontation between Jack Perry and Tony Khan. Why didn't they set that up during the week? You know,
Good question.
surely you would have gotten more people to.
Oh, Daniel Garcia was in the match.
But surely you
Oh.
would have got more people interested in watching the show if you had said during the week, oh, like on Monday or Tuesday, oh, there's going to be an in-ring confrontation between Jack Perry and Tony Khan. Just
I didn't realize Daniel Garcia was demoted to the Rampage show now.
well, he sucks. So
I,
And his
I don't.
his, ni-
I,
his nice
I
little
don't know
hip
what's up with them.
his
To be honest.
pelvic thrust dance that he does.
Yeah. Whatever.
Freaking terrible.
why do I keep thinking that was Starks that did that? I don't know. Probably because I'm an idiot and I can't tell these people apart because nobody cares.
It's kind of true.
I mean, listen. One of them's
I
got
care.
in a relationship with Ruby Soho, and she's pregnant now. So
Yes. Yes, so she'll be off of air soon, if not already.
Prego.
Well, she should be off air now. She can't do anything. She's pregnant.
I mean, pretty much.
And she wasn't doing anything anyway.
That's not true. She was putting on bangers.
No, she wasn't.
She was getting banged. That's what was
She,
happening.
she was barely
God.
showing. She was barely there. I mean,
Hence why she's pregnant.
she's just another example of
She was getting the banger.
why that women's division is probably beyond saving. I mean, she was like,
And it's,
what was she like? Ex WWE wrestler number 3 or 4 out of a list of like 18 now that they kept on saying was a game changer and was going to make a huge difference in their women's division.
and I
it was
don't
all just a bunch of horseshit.
hand service. I just don't get it. Like Ruby Soho, or what was her name? Ruby. What was it in
Ruby
WWE?
Riot.
Ruby Riot. She was good. Like she could wrestle. Like, so what the hell happened when she got to AEW? Like,
It's AEW.
It's AEW. Yeah.
like
The
what are
AEW
you
happened
doing?
to her.
What are you doing to the women that can wrestle that you brought in? Like, the problem is they don't have enough of them. That women that can legitimately wrestle. Thunder Rose is good in the ring. But then again, she's got to wrestle these women that are not.
But everybody hates her.
There's that. What's the new one that's in that has been wrestling recently? Why can't I think? I think you mentioned her, Joe.
Deanna Prazo.
No, not Deanna Purrazzo. I remember Deanna Purrazzo. I'm glad that she's there. That she's a legit female wrestler.
I like her a lot too. What, Willow?
Yes, Willow. Yes. Like I saw her wrestle in one match, and it was on Rampage. I think it was a Rampage match. I was like, because it was like that 6-woman thing, like this that 12-woman tag team match. I was like, oh, she might have some potential. And then they've put her on like consistently, and I think she's got some good in-ring ability.
Oh, she does. Yeah.
But there's just not like, what the hell are you doing to your women's division? Like, there's so many people that are out there that are probably better talents than what you got, but you want to put these people in there. I'm sorry, your women's division is not good. Like when you get down to the wrestling portion, it is just you have a lot of women there with very little talent. Toni Storm. I don't want to hear about Toni Storm. She's not that good.
I like her gimmick though right now.
I like her gimmick.
Her gimmick's gotten a little tiresome for me. You know the problem with her gimmick?
Well, you better get it refreshed. Refresh your shit.
My-
I think
my
it's pretty
pro-
cool how they put her in black and white whenever they show her. It's pretty fucking funny.
No, that's when it gets cartoony.
No, you're cartoony.
Really kind of stupid. But no, I mean, when I was listening to Cornette's review of Dynasty today on his podcast, he said something about Toni Storm, or maybe his co-host said it. I can't remember which one. That kind of, I think, again, it kind of articulated some of the reasons why I've kind of soured on her gimmick. It worked when everybody looked at her like she was crazy. Now everybody takes her seriously. When she's obviously crazy. And I said, yeah, that's probably why I don't like it as much now.
It was funny. The last time she was on, I forget what match she was down there commentating on. Her commentary was kind of funny, but they were making fun of their butler because Taz was like rooting for like he's all about her and making fun of the butler and stuff like that because he couldn't put the title that she has on the freaking stand that they had, the title stand that they had. It kept on falling
Oh,
over
yeah,
and shit like that. I was like, good job, AEW.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that Hook is fucking Taz's son.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't realize that?
No, I didn't realize that until I heard something. I was like, "What?"
They
That's like,
announced that from day one when he
well, I
first came
didn't.
out.
Yeah, I didn't hear. I the first time I saw Hook, I know it wasn't his debut, but I don't like Hook anyways. I think he's fucking terrible. So, but that's all my personal opinion.
Yeah, yeah, it's his son.
So, at least he got taller than his dad. I don't know about
Yeah,
how
it's got
much,
his mom's
but
got his mom's genes on that one. Get the DNA from the mom's
I
side.
mean, I wish he was as built as Taz was. Taz was like just a freaking stack of muscle,
Yeah, he
but.
was.
But yeah,
Good
his
brick
kid
house.
looks like he could be blown over by the fucking wind. It's a big
He's
gust
re-
of wind. Get down.
I mean, he is lean and muscular, but he's got some time to grow. Definitely so.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Hook. Like, I want to chop his fucking hair off.
He has potential, I think, but I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
They've invested a lot in him. Like, they pushed him pretty hard and like tried to make him and are trying to make him relevant. So hopefully, I will pay us off for them.
We'll see. We know how shit like that goes.
Yeah,
That's
look what the
trouble.
WWE and the Long Island Ice Z.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That did not work, and I was excited. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome!" And it's like, "Oh, he should have stuck with his YouTube shit.
I know.
This is not going well."
Now he's a death god, Matt Cardona. He just had surgery too. He got injured in one of his matches or something like that.
That sucks. Oh, going back to the Bucks, you know why the Bucks could do that, make it all about themselves when they were indie guys, because the indie shows had to make it about them because they were an attraction. They're no longer an attraction. They are regulars on a TV series, a TV wrestling series.
I think the biggest thing with them,
So
no matter if they're EVPs or not, they do put others over. I will give them credit for that.
yes, they don't just always they don't win every freaking match.
You know, they're this is the third time they've had the titles, yes, but storyline wise, it makes sense.
Yeah, but third time in 5 years, that's not a lot. So
No, but like I said, they put a lot of people over, which is good. I just think their attitudes with what they want to do in matches and behind the scenes stuff is, the shitty part of it. And listen, I've been a Young Bucks fan since the TNA days. I've followed their career, but at the same point, you do start hearing things and stories about their attitudes when they were on the indies and some shit that happened in New Japan. So you kind of question that. So you don't know if that's true. And then they come to AEW and it's like, yeah, new promotion, let's go. And, sorry, but others might overlook some of the shenanigans that happen in the back. But for as much as Cody might say he still loves the Young Bucks and they're still friends, when his wife comes out and says, yeah, things were changing and she was treated like shit on her way out, kind of doesn't surprise me. And for as much as you might love or hate CM Punk, he will always speak what's on his mind and what, the truths are and whatnot. And when he calls them out, there's got to be some validity to that. So it is what it is. Let's see. It's just going to be for them. We will see what happens in the next coming years. Let's see what happens when they get their TV deal. How much this TV deal is with Warner Brothers and Discovery and how much they're going to get. I believe their content will be streaming on Max, and you'll see Ring of Honor on Max at that point too. We'll which is fine, which I think will be better off for ROH anyway. But we'll see. I'm not sure if they're going to bring their pay-per-views to the streaming app service right away, but it all depends on what their market share and how much they're getting from corporate in regards to that. So we'll see. But yeah, there's just so much they have to work on, unfortunately, that we'll see if they right the ship or how long it takes them to right the ship. It is what it is.
Yeah, we'll see. It's only a matter of time.
You know,
So, anywho,
I'm ready for the
Anywho.
Deadpool movie. I can't wait for July.
Yes, I've seen a lot of fun trailers for that. It's gonna be. I have to, like Pat said, I have to go back and watch the second season of Loki because I'm sure that's gonna tie into the Deadpool movie because we see
Yes.
that there's the whatever agency comes and grabs Deadpool and makes him
Yes.
go back in time or into another timeline and get Wolverine. So
Yeah, the timeline where Wolverine's like screws everything up.
I saw I saw something. I think it was maybe just a headline that was on like my feed on my phone browser or something like that, where it's like you don't need to have watched other things to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, and I'm like, okay, I know what they're trying to say, but that's not
But
true because you definitely have to at least need to have seen the first two Deadpool movies
well, not only that,
and maybe a couple of X-Men movies.
yeah, considering the fact that they're bringing back some villains from a couple of X-Men movies and the X-Men, one of the villains from X-Men First Class is in the movie now too.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's not like entirely true. I think what they're saying is that I think what they were probably trying to say, because like I said, I didn't read the article, is that they're you're probably saying like, you don't really need to have actually watched like the other like MCU stuff, I'm guessing, or like Loki. I'm like,
Yeah.
I still need to finish watching season 2 of Loki though, because
I
yeah,
never even started it. I'm so far behind on my Marvel stuff.
well,
So-
that's just unacceptable.
So many other shows. I've gotten into a lot of different anime shows. They've been consuming my TV time.
Yeah, there's a lot of our stuff that I'm behind on. Some new stuff's come up, and I've been watching that every week and some other jazz. So
Because I've been watching the Adventures of Dai. I don't know if you ever heard of that one, Joe.
I've heard of it.
I watched that
Never
entire
really tried
series.
that.
I'm watching Black Clover.
Black
Um,
Clover's good.
what else have I been watching? Oh, oop, series Blood of Zeus. That's no, they haven't put any new episodes. I went back and started watching Hakashi. No,
That one's not bad.
um, but yeah, I've been watching a lot of those shows. So,
Yeah,
so
some
yeah.
good stuff. I like Black Clover. But yeah, I'm kind of looking for that. Looking forward to Deadpool. Absolutely, it's gonna be great. I don't know. The movies this year for I don't know. There's besides Deadpool, I'm not really sure what other movies are coming out that really grabs me that I really want to go fucking see.
Yeah, this isn't looking like a great year for like what's like the traditional summer movie season. Let me just, and this is just me now. Okay. So the only movies that I have on my list that are coming out in what would be called like the summer movie season months, which is May through August. So I've got The Fall Guy, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, The Dead Don't Hurt, which is a western with Viggo Mortensen. So it's not like
Wow,
a
Viggo Mortensen. I haven't heard that name in forever.
well, he's been around doing stuff. Inside Out 2, A Quiet Place Day 1, Deadpool and Wolverine, Borderlands, and Alien Romulus. That's it. And I'm like, what happened to like the years when there was like literally something new coming out every week that I wanted to see, you know?
Yeah, it's a short list.
And it's like I think the pandemic probably played a part in that, of course, but it just and again, let's see, so one, two, three, four, five of those things that I mentioned there are basically franchise movies. You know, Planet of the Apes, Inside Out, Pixar, Quiet Place, Deadpool, Wolverine, MCU, Alien, Romulus, Alien, Borderlands. Of course, was based on a video game. Um, you know, The Fall Guys is based on an old TV show, so it's like,
There was a show that came out that's actually based. There's a TV show that's out that is based on a um, video game, and I all of a sudden I can't think of the name of the.
Fallout.
Yes, Fallout, which I saw, which is fucking terrible as far as like not in the storytelling, but just like the first. I watched the first episode. It was the first and second episode, but yeah, kind of terrible in the fact of the way they tricked all these people to stay underground and like did these experiments on them. I'm like, oh, that's kind of fucking interesting.
Cool.
How the video game is.
And then the funny thing too is what I have written down for like later in the year for like the fall and winter months. It's mostly sequels: Beetlejuice 2, Joker, Folie à Deux, Venom 3, Gladiator 2, Incredibles 3, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and then a remake because they're doing a version of Nosferatu, and then an animated Lord of the Rings movie, The War of the Rohirrim. So
I'm not happy. Well, not that my happiness means anything to the movie industry, but I'm not happy that they did a Gladiators too. I don't see the point in it.
I've I think I saw something the other day that said like early reactions have been good, but still I'm like, what exactly is the story of this? You know?
Yeah, really.
Because it's got to be I would think it has to be an original story, unless they do it based off of the female character that takes over when her brother gets killed by the gladiator. I don't know if she
So
actually takes over or if it goes falls to her son.
well,
Um,
here's what Wikipedia has to say. Gladiator 2 is an upcoming historical epic film directed and co-produced by Ridley Scott, who of course did the original. Serving as a sequel to Gladiator, the film was written by David Scarpa and stars Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Joseph Quinn, Fred Hetchinger, May Calamwami. I can't read that name. Connie Nielsen, Connie Nielsen, and Derek Jacobi. The last two reprising their roles. You know, Connie Nielsen was the sister of Commodus, the daughter of Marcus Aurelius, and Derek
hmm.
Jacobi was the senator. So Paul Mescal is playing Lucius Verus, who was played by the actor Spencer Treat Clark in the original. Director Ridley Scott mentions that since he was last seen approximately 15 years ago, Lucius has been living in the wilderness with no connection with his mother, who now thinks he might be dead. Question, of course, is the way the first one ended. Why would there have been a disconnect between them? And it says Denzel is a former slave turned wealthy arms and commodity dealer with a grudge against the emperors. Pedro
Okay.
Pascal is a former military commander whose defiance has resulted in him being condemned to being a gladiator. And then the guy Joseph Quinn is co-emperor Caracalla, I guess, um, who was based on a real historical figure, the same way Commodus was. Despite comparisons with Joaquin Phoenix's Commodus from the first film, Quinn did not feel he challenged Phoenix's performance. Well, that's a good idea. Crediting Scott for wishing him to play the chords louder and turn it up and go for the more brave or bold form of okay, whatever. I don't know.
So they're gonna have to show backstory as to why Lucius, her son, is not with her.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because
How,
right now it makes no
Interesting.
sense.
how did you get to this point from where the first movie ended, where it looked like that because Commodus died, there was no emperor, that they were going to try to make Rome a republic again, which of course, you know, is contrary to history. But I mean, obviously, they were not telling a historical story in the first movie anyway, just because they used the names of some real people and everything. So I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to see it and give it a try, but it does feel a little weird. But now the movie that you had mentioned, which is also, of course, not on my list because I was not the biggest fan of the movie that it's based upon, the Furiosa movie. So
Yes. It's going to be a series too. I think there's going to be a total of 3 movies.
I must be one of the few people who didn't think Mad Max Fury Road was like the greatest fucking thing ever. I thought the movie was pretty tedious, to be honest.
It was
I
okay.
didn't see it.
It's like, yes, the visuals were great, but the story to me was horseshit. Really. The whole movie is that they're going this way to get away from the bad guy and everything. And then they get halfway through the movie and, oh, they got to turn around and go back that way for reasons. And I just was going like,
Yeah.
I didn't.
So we're saying the original Mad Max movies were better.
Well, that's the other thing too.
Yes.
I'm like, how is this one supposed to have fit in with the original Mel Gibson movies? Because it's like, yes, we knew there was all this trouble and everything with the original movie and everything, but it wasn't like that. I mean, they started to get to that point, especially by the time you got to Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. But even what you see in that movie with the way stuff's broken down, it isn't nearly what they fucking showed in Fury Road. And because he's played by Tom Hardy in Fury Road and everything, it's like he's supposed to be about the same age as the way Gibson played him. So I'm like, these movies just really kind of collectively make no fucking sense to me.
No, they don't.
And yeah, the funny thing too about Mad Max Fury Road was when Honest Trailers did their take on it, you know, when they do it, like, you know, they always introduce the movie and they call it by its real name, and then they go through their whole spiel, and then they come up with like a funny satirical type title for it at the end. And I always remember their title for Mad Max Fury Road was Furiosa Road featuring Mad Max. And that was very true because she ended up becoming the main character of the movie, not fucking Mad Max, even though he's the goddamn title character. And so now they pretty much reinforced that by doing a fucking prequel with that character.
Yep. And it's, like I said, I think it's going to be 3 total movies.
Yeah,
Whatever.
if they get fucking Oscar nominations for technical categories, which is going to almost force me to see it, I'm going to be very pissed off.
But I mean, the only guiding light about it is that, you know, John Travolta's going to be in it, so he plays the
What?
villain. So that's the only ray of hope that movie has.
Are you making that up?
No, John Travolta's in the movie.
Is he
Playing the-
really? I don't remember him
Yeah.
seeing. Okay, maybe
Yeah, he plays the
I-
villain.
Chris Hemsworth's in it.
No, he's not listed in the movie, man.
Is it Chris Helmsworth that's the villain?
Yeah.
Really? Man, they made him look like John Travolta.
For a minute there, I thought you were saying that maybe John Travolta was playing the Immortan Joe character, who was the villain of Fury Road, because he's in this. But no, some other guy is playing it because the actor who played Immortan Joe has passed away. So, but no, yeah, John Travolta. If he's in this, he's not listed on the Wikipedia cast list. Let's just throw that one out there. You know who is in this movie though? Is Nathan Jones. Yeah, there's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you. Give me 1 second. I gotta connect my phone.
Oh, here's the other thing too. Yeah, one of my biggest complaints with movies over the last few years has been that a lot of movies are just way too long. And it's like, I don't mind long movies as long as they make sense and they don't feel long. They don't start dragging and shit. This movie's a fucking 2 hour and 28-minute movie.
Of course it is.
That's probably too long by 20 minutes.
Yep, I see a screen. It's black with
Yeah,
white
it'll
lettering.
Is it not coming through?
I see nothing.
Oh, here we go.
It doesn't say anything here about.
All right. Can you see it now?
Yes.
That looks like John Travolta, that picture.
Not to me.
All right. Well, maybe I'm going crazy, but that looked like John Travolta. At least
No.
when they were showing the preview, I was like, "Holy shit, they got John Travolta to do the character." But
Pull up a current picture of John Travolta now.
well, you put a wig and a beard on him, it looks completely different.
His face does not look that young though.
Whatever.
He's too jacked. Travolta's not that
Yeah,
jacked.
that too. Travolta's fat now. I mean,
Well,
he was never the thinnest guy in the first place.
but they gave him a gray ass beard, made him look old.
The hair doesn't look old though.
Whatever threw me. I don't know. I'm sorry. She doesn't present to me as a badass ass kicker either. So
Yeah, I
Charlize Theron is at least believable as an ass kicker. She's played enough evil characters that I'll go with ass kicker for her.
Yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't know. I go hot and cold with her sometimes.
I can't say I've ever seen her in anything, or at least anything that I know I've seen her in.
Did you see Split or Glass?
Nope.
Or the
Nope.
View?
I want to. How do those movies go? I know Unbreakable's the first one.
Then Split, then Glass.
Split and then Glass. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Because those are available on Netflix. I wanted to watch those, but I can't watch those when the kids are awake because they're creepy as shit. Especially Split because these kidnapped girls. So,
Yes.
So I'm like, well, I gotta wait until the kids go to bed and watch those, and can't watch it with the wife because she'll get creeped out and be like, I can't go to sleep. We have to watch Happy TV now. That's the way we used to watch. Our favorite show was Law and Order shows, and we used to, since the other ones went off the air, and in Law and Order Special Victim Unit was essentially the only one. It'd always be like, okay, I will watch this, but you gotta promise to watch Happy TV with me afterwards. I'm like, okay, we'll go watch an episode of whatever after this. So I can't
Get
go
the
to
bad
sleep. It's
stuff off your
creepy.
mind for a little bit before you
Yeah,
go to
she's like,
bed.
it's creepy. These people are crazy. I'm like, yeah, they are.
There's a lot of crazy folk out there.
Yes,
Yes,
they do.
yes, there is a lot of crazy folk out there. I want to give you an example while we're on the subject of crazy folk.
Oh, can't wait.
This was something from a screenshot that a friend of mine shared on Facebook about a week ago. This is what this person says. Look how proportional she looks. This is evidence that she is not a Nephilim or a mutant, but an actual fallen angel. The Nephilim or mutants tend to look disproportional and a bit disabled due to a bad mixing of angel and human DNA. But if it's proportional, that's a red flag. You are looking at an actual unmixed fallen angel.
What the?
This person was apparently
Interesting.
talking about the actress Elizabeth Debicki.
I don't know who that is.
Joe, you want to pull up a picture of her to show Jeremy?
I suppose so.
Elizabeth Debicki.
How do you spell her name again?
Her last name?
Yeah.
Debicki.
Okay, I have a picture pulled up.
Yeah, she was in one or two of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and then she was in Willow.
Isn't she the one
She was
playing
in Tenet, and she played Princess Diana on The Crown.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
She's tall, for a woman, because she's like, I think like 6'2".
Oh, she played Warlock's mother?
Yeah. Yeah. if you want to call that relationship mother-son, which is debatable.
I was trying to figure out that whole thing when I was watching that Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I'm like, what the hell is the relationship here?
Yeah,
Because it's very odd.
it is very odd.
Because they were made by the dude, the villain in that movie, weren't they? They were made by him or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty.
Yeah, but again,
Super.
It's like-
I wouldn't say she's like, I don't know. Everybody has their type. She's not the type that I would go like drop dead gorgeous, but she's pretty.
no, yeah, but it's like what we were exchanging via text message yesterday, and I don't want to get into that, but there's some really messed up, sick people in this country.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Take things a bit too far where it doesn't need to go.
Well,
Some people would say that about us. We take it too far.
so I don't know if you heard this because this was NFL Draft Day weekend.
Really? There was an NFL draft? Oh, yes, my team had 2 great draft picks. Okay.
And NFL
Did they really take good people?
NFL Draft Day weekend, I said.
Yes. It is a day and it's a weekend too.
So anyway,
I still don't like the fact that you laughed and said the Eagles took the white guy. That's pretty fucked up.
But it's true.
Yes, but there was more than one white guy in the draft. It's not like they took the only white guy in the draft.
No, but it has to do with this position. That's why.
I know he's the DB. I know. I was like, well, okay.
You know what's funny is I was on the phone with my dad the other night, and while I was on the phone with him, Minnesota drafted Dallas Turner from Alabama,
Yeah.
and I was shocked to find out that he was black. And I was saying to myself, why didn't I know that? Was I not, did I not pay attention to Alabama that much this year? And
I
then my
would say
dad
probably
says,
not.
it's probably because anybody you've ever heard of with the name Dallas is white. And I said, I think that is it. And then I named a few people named Dallas, and they were all white people. So,
Yeah.
but anyway,
The Eagles got Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
yeah, I found that funny.
Yes. I was like, all right.
I was like, yeah,
Take the
sometimes-
son too. We had the
sometimes you-
dad. Let's take the son.
Sometimes
Why not?
you don't have to do it that way. But Goodell was, I guess, making the interview rounds again, and I guess he reiterated that he wants to see an 18-game regular season,
Yeah, I saw something else. I'll share this. In just a second.
which would also only include 2 preseason games, of course. But also extend the calendar by 1 week so that Super Bowl would land on President's Day weekend, which could actually be a good thing because then you can stay up really late watching the Super Bowl and you don't have to worry about going to work the next day. Unless you're somebody like me who doesn't get President's Day off.
I don't get President's Day off. I still gotta go to work.
Yeah, so do I.
I get it off. Sucks to be you guys.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Jeremy, I think you will join me in saying fuck you. But I mean, okay, we know that inevitably they will go to a fucking 18-game season. The owners will get their damn way, but it probably can't happen until whenever the collective bargaining agreement is up.
They're hell bent on Christmas Day games now too.
Yeah, I know, but this year doing Christmas Day games is weird since Christmas on a Wednesday.
Mhm.
But I don't think having the Super Bowl and President's Day weekend is a terrible idea.
No.
But yeah. So yes, you pull this up.
Yeah,
The
this is
Guardian
ridiculous.
cap.
This is ridiculous.
My take on it is this: if it can help, fine. I don't care how ridiculous it looks.
I get it, but they need to. Like the whole reason that the big thing was is they don't want them wearing them is because you can't see the logos on the helmet.
Well, that's really kind of a stupid reason because we know what team they're playing for based upon the color of the jersey.
I understand that, but do they encompass that? Do they allow them to have that and encompass it in another plastic top? So
Well,
that
if they've approved, if they've been authorized for in-game use, then I guess they're okay with the logo being covered up and everything.
I don't know. I just saw that. I was like, this is getting crazy.
I mean, yeah, it looks ridiculous, and it's also kind of like when they introduced those like oversized baseball helmets a couple years ago, which it seems like nobody uses. You know, not many people use them then, but it seems like nobody's using them now anyway. But again, if you're trying to come up with ways that's going to be able to reduce head trauma, cut down on concussions, and then frankly, I'm for it. I really don't give a shit about the aesthetic.
My only concern with it is extra padding going to help? Because a lot of concussions happen from the whiplash effect of being slammed into the ground. And I don't know if, and not being a concussion expert or brain expert, of course, I have no way of knowing this, but that's why I pose this question. Is that minuscule amount of padding going to help with reducing concussions upon whiplash effect?
Good question.
Because the whiplash effect is what is one of the major reasons of concussion that causes concussions, because it is your brain slamming against the inside of your head. It's not necessarily from your head hitting the pad. I don't know if the padding is going to help with that effect, because they've redesigned helmets how many times now to allow for additional padding to soften the blow in that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
If it does help, I agree. All for it. We don't want these guys coming out with scrambled eggs for brains.
He said blow.
So
You should have said job.
Jeremy, say blow.
no, you have a job.
I think you missed the point of the would-be joke.
Nope, I didn't.
I have a
Excuse me,
joke
goodness
for you.
gracious. Oh no.
Knock knock.
That's not what we're doing.
Go ahead. This ought to be interesting.
I forget it now.
Awesome.
Can I do my joke then?
No.
Sure.
If your joke is a knock knock joke, we don't want to hear it.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Let me tell you a little story about a man named Shh.
So
Even before you start, that was a preemptive Shh. Just know I have a
Okay.
whole bag of Shh
So
with your name on it.
here's my joke. Why does a bull wear a bell?
What?
Why does a bull wear a bell?
Mm-hmm.
To hide his massive, massive balls.
Because his horns don't work.
Oh boy.
The stupid dad joke. I heard it the other day. It's hilarious. This made me laugh. Stupidity.
So I almost cried reading a book today, which is kind of scary.
Oh, pride to you,
So,
book. Oh, boy.
Yes. Well, I was reading the Pat Summit book called Summit Up.
Oh,
And
Yeah, don't get me started. I have trouble. I had trouble reading that book.
so you read that?
I've read that book already.
I was just reading the first chapter, and she's talking about her diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and not like I was like, oh, I'm like,
Yeah, she goes
I'm
right
like-
into it.
I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, are you trying to make me cry? God dang it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's not.
Because I completely forgot that was why she left the coaching, because of
Yeah.
her, early onset dementia.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's not suffering anymore. Oh my God, it's been that long now? Shit.
Man, when did she pass?
2016. I
Wow.
realize it's been 8 years now. I also didn't realize she was only 64. I always thought she was a little older than that.
Well, yeah, she was
Yeah.
diagnosed when she was 57 with it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, I remember reading an article about Dean Smith not all that long before he passed away, when he was suffering from dementia. And, they were pointing out how like cruel it was in a way, how this was like a guy who remembered everybody who ever played for him. Like everybody who ever had like an association with like the program could remember like the names of like the team managers and the aides and all this other stuff. And now it was like, he didn't recognize anybody, towards the end of his life and everything, but he still had like moments where it's like everything like would come back to him and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, that got me pretty, it was just like,
Well, yeah, and I was-
trying to read that. So
My wife knows who Kim Mulkey is, because she got sucked into the whole women's Final Four and stuff like that in the draft. And I showed her a picture of Pat Summit, like when she was all dressed up like in her one like bright orange suit, and I said, see, this was Kim Mulkey before there was a Kim Mulkey.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's funny because as soon as I said that, I got to the one page and I was like, remember how I mentioned Kim Mulkey? Well, guess whose name just popped up in the book? Kim Mulkey. I was like, isn't that funny?
Yep. Oh yes.
So yeah, crazy. So, but I wanted to read that book because she was one of the, well, probably still is one of the greatest women's coaches in college history. I mean,
Yeah.
so
I mean, it's her, Gino Auriemma, and I don't really think anybody else enters the discussion. So
yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Finished my John Calipari book. So
Yeah, there's a couple books I want to go and buy.
I finished my book on John Calamari. I'm
Was it
sorry,
delicious?
I meant Mon Calamari. Those most noble of Star Wars alien species.
They sound delicious. I love good calamari.
Well, that was the thing. While I was reading the book, I realized something.
You sure about the Debbie Does Dallas book origin story?
No, it was a trap.
Jackass. All right, and on that note, with the terrible joke to end the day, we'll call it a night,
There we go.
or particularly early morning, with it being 12:10 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So
Oh my God! How did we let it get to be this late again?
it always does, because
We're 10 minutes into Sunday.
You got to give us a 10-page dissertation on every subject.
You know something? Just because I prepare for this show and you don't.
Well, if you were prepared, you would have been able to talk about the NBA, but you just sat there like a bump on a log. All right. Well, thank you, fans, for tuning
Go
in. We hope-
Knicks. That's what my
Oh!
contribution to the NBA is.
Yeah, you and Bronson, okay? Bronson can go eat a one. All right. Sick of hearing about him already. But
Who?
anyways,
Do you mean Brunson?
Brunson. That's what I said. Or did it say Bronson? I said
I
Bronson.
thought-
Charles Bronson.
I thought I heard Bronson. Like, yeah, it's like, yeah,
Charles
it's like
Bronson.
you're gonna go to gun down Henry.
Charles
Ford?
Brownson and his 357 revolver.
Either way, I'm tired of hearing about Bronson, whatever.
Do,
his
do you have a
freaking
death
stupid name is.
wish? You know?
I do. But it's been a great night. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll be back for more next week and some more craziness. I'll probably be tired as hell because I have a golf tournament that I'm going to be involved in. So I'll be out in the sun all day. Blah. So, but it'll be good.
Assuming it's sunny, but it's,
I hope it's sunny next Saturday, but we'll see.
yeah,
but
it's
it's been
been
fun.
weird up here anymore. So yeah.
80 tomorrow, 80 the next day, and then high 70s. So it'll be fun. Yes, interesting. But we hope you enjoyed it. We had fun.